Marvel's Doomsday leaks, Spider-Man gets a set injury, and there's Daredevil renewal news. The Mandalorian and Grogu teaser trailer dropped out of hyperspace, and did James Gunn show us Superman's next villain? All that and more coming up right after this. Welcome to Multiverse News, your source for information about all your favorite fictional universes. My name is Matthew Carroll, and with me on the panel today, we have Jay Sisson. What's happening, Jay Sisson?
Hey, not much. We were talking pre-show. Today was supposed to be the Rapture, and we're all still here. And if you're listening to this, you're still here too. So I don't know what that says about you or us, but otherwise, let's talk about some news.
Yeah. If any of us disappear mid thing, we'll try to finish the show anyway, you know, out of respect for the raptured. And Haley Hobbs, what's going on?
Well, I'm tired and I'm in a lot of pain because I pulled a muscle in my leg last week and I've been like limping around like a pirate all week. But thankfully, I have Tylenol. Thank you, Tylenol, for always being there when I need you. You're the best.
This episode brought to you by Tylenol.
Is the best. Yep.
Safe to take, believe it or not. Crazy.
Lord, the world is so broken. J. Scotty St. Clair, welcome.
I really had to resist the urge to do a pirate impression.
No, you don't have to resist the urge at all. You don't have to resist.
All right, shiver me timbers, me mateys. I'm here. Let's talk
Shiver
about
indeed. I have an
multiverse
ice
news.
pack on my leg right now.
If I hadn't gone with that, I was going to say I wasn't raptured, but if I spontaneously combust, you know why, because it's almost 90 degrees in my neck of the woods in late September.
Ew.
So first world problems for you.
That is atrocious.
There's a rapture and hell joke in there somewhere, but
Something.
I'm not going to try to find it, but it's there somewhere.
Not worth slowing down the show for, but it's there. Just know we know.
The Spotify poll, what was your joke for this week?
What joke should Jay have said there? That's good. All right. 5-star review this week comes from Hatter M106. All right. After being a longtime listener to the MCU podcast, I dove into all the Stranded Panda has to offer, and these guys do a great show and truly put their hearts into providing entertainment and informative content while making every show feel like you're discussing movies and shows with good friends. Thank you, Hatter. Thank you so much.
Mad
I really appreciate that. That's a vibe we've tried to foster here, so that means a lot.
Well, if
Vibes.
the Hatter doesn't have the Multiverse News hat from our merch store, I feel like they're not living up to their name.
Oh.
So,
Gotta get them hats.
Nice plug.
yeah.
I tip my hat to you.
Barely noticeable plug.
Next, we'll drop a shirt of Haley as a pirate next week.
Yes.
Merch store.
I would only let
Design
Scotty do
contest.
that. No, Jay, how dare you? That is not a thing. That's not happening. I'll shut down the internet.
Hashtag Halyard. All right. All right, before we move on, I wanted to give a shout out to Disney for doing the right thing and bringing back Jimmy Kimmel. You guys may have heard my comments on the MCU cast yesterday about how terrible I viewed his suspension because I saw it as a capitulation to a direct assault on our First Amendment. And because Disney owns so much of these things that I love, I felt like it was a slippery slope to losing artistic expression across these multiverses. So I give a hearty 3 cheers to Disney and all the artists and fans who made their voices heard. Please keep standing up. It will take all of us holding the line to protect our rights to see, hear, say, and think what we want. Plant yourself like a tree, baby. Plant yourself like a tree. Love to see it. Love to see it.
As I said to Jay earlier, Eminem warned us about the FCC years ago.
Oh, yeah. Eminem knew what he was talking about.
Of course.
All right, well, we can move on to our first story. Let's get into it. It's been a busy week for the MCU, starting with a potentially big leak where the costume from Avengers Doomsday were revealed. Kinda. With filming now wrapped, an image from the wrap third-party gifts showed those who want to look at what our characters may look like in the upcoming blockbuster. In other oops news, Spider-Man actor Tom Holland suffered a mild concussion while filming a stunt for Spider-Man Brand New Day, halting filming for several days. Here's hoping Spider-Man's bump on the noggin heals fast. Webhead indeed. Daredevil, Born Again, has already been renewed for a third season. The return of Charlie Cox's outing as the Man Without Fear was well received this year on Disney Plus, and season 2 will premiere next May. Lastly, Marvin Jones III will appear as Tombstone in Spider-Man Brand New Day. It's been a busy week. How is it feeling for us fans so far?
Feeling like it's a lot, and it's mostly good. Yeah, it's mostly good here. So in terms of like where to start, that's difficult for me because I'm looking at my notes here and there's just so much there. But I guess I'll start with the most recent news, and that is right before we started to record here, we did get the Tombstone casting here. So Marvin Jones III, I mean, he looks like he was pulled right out of the comics. Like you could not find a more perfect person for the role. Like, and we'll have to see if they're going to do additional makeup and more effects to make him even closer to the comics, but I don't even think they need to. Like, it really brought to mind the PlayStation 5 game and that version of Tombstone, which is a very realistic take on the character. I think, not to be disparaging anyway, but I think this guy, he could play that version of the character with very little needing to be done. So I do look at this casting and I compare that to the casting of Tremel Tillman, who was the biggest name that we had cast recently. And I kind of go back to what I first suggested there. A lot of people are saying he's going to be a villain, but I really could see him as Robbie Robertson, kind of like the person that Peter Parker reports to at the Daily Bugle beyond J. Jonah Jameson. And knowing that what we've seen from Tremel Tillman in Severance and other things that he's appeared in, I'm wondering if this is going to be a little bit of a different take on Robbie Robertson, where he's usually been Spider-Man or Peter's like confidant and kind of like the nice guy in the office. I wonder, because we have this other version of J. Jonah Jameson played by J.K. Simmons that's already kind of been played out in this universe. What if this version of Robbie takes some of those elements from J. Jonah Jameson, where he's a little bit more of a hard ass and a little bit more of an obstacle for Peter, and then the threat that Tombstone presents in their history could be what eventually unites them. That's kind of where my mind's going, and I think that makes a lot of sense with what we've heard about this story, and even with some of the more fantastic inclusions with some of the characters like the Hulk. It does sound like it's really going to be pretty street level here. So I was pretty long-winded on that, so I won't touch on everything here, but I will talk about the merch bag leak here. I don't know how officially we can take this, considering I've never worked for a company as big as Marvel Studios or Disney for that matter, but I have had my hand in some event planning and coordination. So I know when it comes to swag and merch, you have to make that stuff and order it like ahead of time. So looking at the timeline here, I have to imagine they probably made and ordered these bags before the script was even done, based on what we've heard. So that being said, I do think if it is true, the things that I hone in on there, we've got Cyclops in the classic blue and yellow. So while it does seem like we've been talking so much about these being the continuation of the Fox movies version of the characters, I'm wondering if it's just going to be a different version entirely, where it takes elements of the Fox universe and those performers, but really kind of embraces the X-Men 97 of it all and the comics, kind of like what we saw in Multiverse of Madness with that version of Dr. Xavier that popped up there for a second. But last thing here, Doom is featured, and the imagery that they decided to go with, it is consistent with the Shanghai Expo imagery in terms of the lack of gold. So again, I don't think that image is super official or anything to hang your hat on. That one was for you, Hatter. But it is interesting to me, the consistency in terms of like the lack of gold there. So maybe it is something to look at and consider.
Yeah, and if you want to look at the image, if you're curious about it, like there's not spoilers, I would say, in it. I mean, all the characters just look like the characters that you would, if you were asked to picture what Shang-Chi looks like and what M'Baku looks like, and like it just looks like the characters, right? There's not a whole lot of, there's no spoiler imagery, I guess. I mean, Doctor Doom just looks like Doctor Doom.
Looks like a video game select screen. Like
yes.
You're selecting your character, and it's about that level of quality.
Brady Bunch style, almost, kind of. Yeah, and I think it's a cool image. I mean, I like it as something like that, as a merch thing. I did hone in on the Cyclops thing. I'm glad you mentioned that. The costume looks really cool. If that is the version that we're getting, I think that's great.
Right.
A bunch of the X-Men had cool kind of updated costumes that looked a little bit more, a little bit of a move away from kind of the realism that some of the Fox X-Men movies tried to do, and a little bit more of a move towards the comics, which we've seen in recent years with, Hugh Jackman and the Fantastic Four and stuff like that. But I also noticed the bottom right-hand corner, there is, a character that's discussion around the internet sort of puts that was probably Franklin Richards, because it looks like a young person, kind of like blonde hair, kind of curly type thing. So it kind of raises, we know that Franklin Richards is going to be a key part of this plot for Doomsday. We all saw how Fantastic Four ended and what's going on there, but I thought that was kind of an interesting little piece of information. I do think I'm bouncing over to the Tom Holland thing for a second just to mention that, but man, third week in a row that we've talked about an on-set injury to a major actor in a production. Channing Tatum a couple weeks ago on the set of Avengers Doomsday, Henry Cavill on the set of Highlander last week, and now Tom Holland on the set of Spider-Man Brand New Day. This is just something that you didn't really hear about that often. If it happened, it was usually kept under wraps. So for it to happen 3 times, I mean, he must have really got his bell rung pretty bad. He was hospitalized for a little bit with concussion symptoms, and concussions can be very fickle in terms of how you treat them. It seems like, just based on the reporting, that they will be back to filming, that they are filming around it, and that I guess another extra was hurt as well, and so they shut down for a little bit, but they are supposed to be back to filming here within a week or so, and I'm sure that there's some shooting that you can do around it. But yeah, they're going to have to take Tom Holland off stunt duty for a little bit. There's a whole protocol when it comes to a concussion about ramping yourself up slowly. It's not just one of those things that the ringing in your ear stops and you're done. I mean, there's a whole medical timeline that you have to follow with a concussion. So again, I don't have a hot take on it. I just think it's interesting that we've just seen yet another on-set injury come up 3 weeks in a row.
Yeah.
Poor Tom Holland. He took a huge break from acting, and then he comes back to be Spider-Man, and he gets a concussion.
He's like, this is why I don't want to act.
Right?
They keep harming me.
Christopher Nolan never did this to me.
I just had to sit at a table wearing a tunic. Yeah, I mean, I am going to say, like, I'm glad the medical field has advanced so much with concussion protocols, because they are so highly dangerous. So I'm glad that, he's getting the best care. But I do wonder, like, it makes you go, oh no, are they going to stop, like, being a little more cavalier about letting not that they're cavalier, but letting actors do more of their stunts. I mean, when you think about Florence Pugh, how she had to fight to walk off that building in Thunderbolts, like, she really had to tell them she wanted to do it, and they let her do it. But it's like, oh no, if your big stars are getting hurt like this, they might be like, no. We'll put the wig on somebody and it'll be fine. Poor thing. I am glad to hear that Doomsday is wrapped, because I love how much time this gives them to work on this film. That's not coming out till late next year. And so, right? Is it December?
Yeah.
So we have over a year for them to work on the movie. And, not that they're taking notes from James Gunn, but that's kind of what he's doing, is he's filming these movies, and then he's giving himself a lot of lead time to make them look really good. So given the past with Marvel's, overusage of CGI and overworking of those houses, I'm just really glad to see that. And similarly, a real vote of confidence for Daredevil Born Again to get renewed for a 3rd season before the 2nd even comes out. What a great show to have during these times.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, this is all good news except for the bonk on the head. Hope the our wall crawler is doing well. I think this bag is funny. It's just the Doomsday. I love the leaks, like the little piece of information that don't mean much of anything, but we get to analyze. Last week we talked about the light show, and this week it's a bag with little characters on it that you can barely see. It's just a lot of fun. This is one of the things that makes covering this stuff and doing a show like this so fun. Is there's these little bitty nuggets that we can speculate about. What does it mean? Literally, there's a little bit of blue on Cyclops, and Jay Scotty's talking about which universe it's in. I just love that. Yeah. I love that. Like that's the level that we get to go to with these kinds of small pieces of information because we all love this stuff so much, and it all has so many varied meanings and stuff. So that's a lot of fun. And Daredevil season 3, let's go, baby! I'm all in for that. More Daredevil, more better. That's what I say.
Yeah. To touch on Daredevil Born Again season 3 as well as season 2 a little bit, it is worth mentioning because I like season 1, even with some of the obvious like Frankensteining that occurred, and it was one of the biggest stories for this show. For the better part of a year, we were talking about the huge overhaul that happened during season 1. Season 2 and season 3, well, season 2 more so, is really going to be our first opportunity to see what like a unified vision from this new creative team looks like. And again, to your point, Haley, the fact that we were already getting a season 3 before season 2 out, I think is indicative of great things. And now you got to take that with a grain of salt, because we were hearing great things about Daredevil Born Again before that big overhaul. But again, I think Marvel Television as a whole, and under the leadership of Brad Winterbaum, they've kind of corrected the course here, and it makes me super excited to see what they've got around the corner, particularly Wonder Man.
Mm-hmm. Me too. I'm so pumped for Wonder Man. Like, it's just so different than anything we've ever gotten from the MCU before. It seems really, really different. So I'm all in for that. Please don't drop it all at once, Marvel.
I'm still 60-40 on if that's going to come out.
Give us a trailer like more than 2 weeks before it comes out.
It does feel real. Like, we have so little information, and there's so little, marketing for it so far. It does not feel real to me.
I hope they don't Ironheart it.
Me too.
That's unfair to those projects.
All of these shows do better if you do them week to week. I don't understand doing them shortened like that. It does feel like you're throwing them away, and it's offensive to me. Like, just let it have its life.
Yeah. And let us have our lives.
Think about the podcasters.
Yeah, come on.
Wonder Man and Vision Quest, I feel like the timing of those, like they might be the first instances of like the course correction I'm referring to here. But we'll see.
Yeah.
Maybe not.
Yeah, we'll see. I felt like Wonder Man may have been part of the old regime.
Maybe. Yeah.
Like, at least it started there. It definitely had that shift happen during its production at some point. But like, I don't know. Vision Quest 2, like, we've been hearing that's coming for a really long time.
They wrapped that, though.
Crazy. I can't wait for it. Do we know when that's coming out? Is that early next year?
I don't think we know.
I don't think we really know. There's been insinuations, that it's early to middle of 20. Yeah, it's 2026 for sure. But
yeah. I hope it's early. I need me some good Marvel coming out next year. All right. Well, let's move on to our next story. On Monday, Lucasfilm dropped the long-awaited teaser trailer for The Mandalorian and Grogu, Star Wars' newest feature film coming out on May 2026. As we discussed before, this will be Lucasfilm's first feature film for the franchise since 2019's The Rise of Skywalker, and it seems like a lot is riding on Grogu's tiny green shoulders. There's quite a bit of footage to digest, so let's get into it. Who wants to jump in their starfighter first?
What a surprise. It's me. I have notes on this trailer because I watched it many times at varying speeds, none of which helped me see anything different than what I was seeing at regular speed. But right away, like, very happy to see that Ludwig Göransson is coming back to score this movie. Not that the third season of The Mandalorian suffered for him not composing the music, but there's just something about his touch on that score that, like, I get chills when I first hear the Mandalorian theme, that Western, I don't even know what instrument makes that sound, but you guys know what I'm talking about. Yeah. The dun, dun, dun. So just love to see that. And love that they brought him back for that. Also, lots of returns. Return of the Razor Crest. I always hated that they blew it up in season.
Somehow the Razor Crest returned.
Somehow the Razor Crest returns. Somehow the Mandalorian's pulse rifle returns. Also excited to see that back because I like when he disintegrates people. It's very fun. So just some throwbacks. I've heard and seen on the internet some people being like, "Meh," and I'm like, you know what? I don't care. I don't hate it. It's part of what made the show so special in the first place, were these elements that were kind of new and unknown to us. So I'm here for it. As a huge Star Wars Rebels fan, love to see Zeb with his bow rifle in action, live action. He's killing stormtroopers, which he loves to do. If you've watched Rebels, you know he likes the way their helmets feel in his hands. And then just, lots of creatures, lots of like Jim Henson looking kind of old school, Spielberg looking stuff. The poster and the font being reminiscent of old Westerns, old serials, old like Universal monster movies kind of a thing. Loved all of that. It just looks fun. It looks like a great time. Grogu's still adorable. How dare you, Sigourney Weaver, try to keep snacks from him? How dare you?
This trailer was definitely Lucasfilm knowing where their bread is buttered with Star Wars at the moment, because I mean, The Mandalorian and Grogu, that is the future of the franchise at the moment. I mean, we know that there are other trilogies in the works, and we've got the Sean Levy Starfighter movie, but these are the only real active characters that have a high level of investment, specifically on Disney Plus, in the Star Wars universe that most people recognize. So they have Ahsoka, and they have the Acolyte, and they have the animated stuff. But the Mandalorian and Grogu, everybody recognizes. Everybody knows they're from Star Wars. Even the kids love Baby Yoda. That you go to Galaxy's Edge and Disney World, like it's full of Mandalorian stuff. So they know that that's a key part of, it's a key cog in the machine kind of going forward when you're talking about the future of Star Wars, is it has to feature the Mandalorian and Grogu. It's been kind of their big hit from Disney Plus. But we talked about it before, and I was wondering while watching the trailer, because I liked it too. I mean, I was excited by it. I love the Mandalorian, and it looks like the show. It looks like it translates well as a movie, but they made very specific to mention this is formatted for IMAX. This is formatted for big screen. Like, please come see this in a theater, because I think what the fear is that you've got people who have watched 3 seasons of this. They've become accustomed. This is not a new take. We've talked about this before, but they've become accustomed to it as a show. And then so now, okay, we're getting the next episode of The Mandalorian, but it's 2 hours long, and I have to go pay for it again in the theater. And will people jive with that? And what you hope would happen if you're Disney and Lucasfilm is that people who are fans will come to the theater and treat it as an event and see Star Wars in the theater, and that'll be what they buy into. What your fear is that people will see this as, cool, I'll watch it when it's on Disney Plus, and I'll treat it as basically the 4th season of The Mandalorian. So I think that's the question to answer going forward. Can we take small screen characters and adapt them to the big screen? If you're going to do it with a Star Wars character, these are the ones that you do it with, because they're universally recognized. And I think we talked about the Razor Crest, the big zappy rifle. I don't remember what it's called. You had a name for it, but those things, yeah, like they're trying to bring. I think there's a subset of the population out there that they like Star Wars. They've seen Star Wars in the theater. They might have watched a little bit of The Mandalorian, and they haven't really watched the rest of it, but they could still be talked into seeing Star Wars in the theater. I think there's a lot of people in that demographic that maybe they just don't have Disney Plus, but they've seen Star Wars in the theater, and they like Star Wars. They're not a hardcore fan, but they like Star Wars, and they know who the Mandalorian is because they've seen all the marketing and all the Baby Yoda stuff. And I think that's who you're going after. So that's why this trailer featured a lot of Grogu. I mean, this was a Grogu-centered trailer. Like it was like heavy on the Grogu and the Grogu jokes and the him being cute and all that type of stuff. Because again, they're trying to say like, hey, you like Star Wars, you haven't seen The Mandalorian, it's okay. You can probably still enjoy this. Look, it's stormtroopers, it's AT-ATs, it's all the things that you recognize from Star Wars. So overall, I mean, it'll be a really fascinating box office when it hits. I assumed it would be PG-13, but then I saw this trailer and so much Grogu like doing, Grogu stuff. I was kind of like, would they do this in PG? I still don't think they will, but I did kind of make me wonder a little bit like who's the target audience that we're going after here in terms of like how we're skewing this thing, young or old, mature or not. It seems like it may be skewed a little bit younger to me, but still exciting times, I think, for Star Wars.
Yeah, that's the thing that really stood out to me between this trailer and the tousled hair, beautiful Ryan Gosling with his tousled hair companion. This just feels like the Skeleton Crew vibe.
Yeah.
That we saw from Skeleton Crew, that sort of Goonies and space adventure that you can really see kids getting into, but also has enough for adults to enjoy and feel nostalgic about. Like, this feels like the direction Star Wars is going to me. I hope there are going to be shows that are more for adults. I mean, we've got our Andor recently, and I think that's wonderful, but that's closed down. I don't know what they're doing now that will be more adult, but just between these three properties, it just feels like these are going to be very, younger, skewing younger. And I think that that's a smart move. Like, this trailer, $1 billion out the door. Like, I think there's no chance this won't make $1 billion. I really feel that way. And like, I feel like that because we always talk about there's that pocket of kids movie-ness where like you just don't expect it, but the latest kids movie suddenly makes $700 million, and you're like, I didn't even hear that was coming out. This is a movie that people are going to take their kids to see. All those little, I don't know what the race is called, but the Babu Frick little guys walking around. Anzellans? Yeah, the Anzellans with Grogu running around in tunnels, fighting little monsters.
Yeah,
that is getting kids in the door, and like kids are going to want to see it, and parents want to go see a Star Wars, and so like this is going to get the Star Wars fans already. It's going to get general audiences if it's got Pedro Pascal. Like, I think it's going to get general audiences, and it's going to get that weird take your family and your other family's friends and all their kids, where like 20 people go to the movie theater together. It's going to get that money too. And like, that is gold. And I think this is really going to make some money.
As much as Disney would love that, just a PSA, don't do that. Don't go to the movies with 20 people. It's not an interactive experience. It's a passive experience. You're watching it by yourself. So,
interesting.
If you want to get 20 people to go, whatever, just don't take up the whole row. Like, I don't know. I see people do that because I so seldomly go with like that many people. I'm just like, when I see people take up the whole row, I'm like, why? It's not like you can talk throughout the movie, and if you're going to talk, I'm going to be upset.
That's a lot of times it's a making it an afternoon thing. Like, people will go to like lunch.
I get it. Yeah,
and then
I mean, a family outing, a few friends, but 20 people. I mean, the last time I did anything close to that was like Harry Potter, the final Harry Potter movie. Went to like the 3 a.m. showing. Some of my friends were dressed up. I get it for that. But anyway, that's just your curmudgeonly theater goer saying his piece here.
So curmudgeonly. I agree with you. Don't talk during it. But like, bring as many people as you want to the theater. Come on, okay. Scotty.
But no, I know what you're saying. The theater experience is different now, and there's too much talking and phone scrolling in the theater. Okay.
Right.
I had to heavily scold about 4 teenagers during Fantastic Four, and
that's right.
It worked. I mean, I got them to shut up, but I'm a teacher, all right? I'm not scared to scold a teenager. But it's like, yeah, I mean, I know what you're saying.
Teenagers need to be scolded, quite frankly.
You're a certified shush ninja, so welcome to the ranks. We welcome all shush ninjas. I thought the analysis of the trailer was pretty spot on. I don't have too much more to add, but I really did like it. I thought it looked great, particularly the imagination on display with the creature designs and some of the action set pieces, like Mando jetpacking out of the top of an AT-AT on a snowy embankment. Like, that just looks awesome, and that's that's what I always say. Star Wars has had its ups and downs, but I've always been the kind of Star Wars fan that, on some level, just seeing these characters, these worlds, these environments, the lightsabers, even the ones without lightsabers, I just always get some level of enjoyment. So, all that being said, I kind of hate the title card. I get what they're going for. They're trying to sell it as like the serialized adventure that's kind of like a throwback to the serials of like the 30s and yesteryear, like your Flash Gordons, even your kind of Indiana Jones and whatnot. But it just does not feel like Star Wars to me. And, take that as you will. But it really reminds me of Disney Animation's Strange World from a couple of years ago. And that's not a good association. That movie just
But nobody else will make that connection. Don't worry, Scotty.
That's fair.
Because nobody saw that movie.
Final thing I have to say here, I unlike you, Haley, I did not watch this at multiple speeds or go frame by frame, but I am curious too. But I had the thought, now we have to add a couple of qualifiers and caveats here, but I think Rhoda the Hutt, our Jeremy Allen White voiced strongman Hut character here. I think he might be the only character not making his big screen debut in this movie. Now we have to throw the qualifier there that it's albeit live action, because he first appeared as an animated character way back in when the 2008 Clone Wars film came out that introduced us to Ahsoka. And then the other qualifier on there is, if I'm not mistaken, I think if it was not Rosaria Dawson, it was Ahsoka's voice actress from the animated series that lent her voice to Rise of Skywalker, right?
Ashley Eckstein, yeah.
Yeah. She was in Rise of Skywalker, at least in a voice role, right?
She voiced Ahsoka, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
In the Rise of Skywalker.
So that's the other qualifier there. It was a voice, not the character actually making the debut. So Rhoda, that's rarefied air you're breathing there. Enjoy.
I want to mention too, before we move on, I think we're all excited, but I think second trailer is going to be really important for this movie because trending wise didn't really get the kind of pop you expect from a Star Wars movie. And I think a lot of we talk about it all the time. I think Hollywood is fighting a little bit of apathy just towards properties in general, and people, getting people to the theater, getting people to watch a show, subscribe to a show, and things like that. But man, we talked about Kimmel a little bit at the top, and that was the main comment at the top of this trailer for all of the top comments was, Disney's trying to distract us. Disney is trying to change the conversation. I won't go see this because of the Kimmel stuff. And that's a problem if you're that company,
Mm-hmm.
Now that things have changed since then a little bit, right? But still, that definitely threw a wet blanket, I think, on the conversation around Mandalorian and Grogu. And I don't think it directly, caused them to reverse course on that or whatever. I don't think that those two things are directly correlated, but
they're like, even Baby Yoda can't save
you're
us.
You're not going to take Baby Yoda from us or whatever. But I think there was probably a little bit, especially in Lucasfilm, the Lucasfilm wing of Disney, of like, hey, can you maybe not set us up for failure with public relations before we drop the major Star Wars trailer that we're trying to put out there and drum a pipe for in a few months? So, no matter where you're at on that situation, that's just a fact. Like it killed the vibe around that trailer in a big way online. And hopefully that is something that as we move into our second trailer, which will be something that will show in movie theaters and stuff like that leading up to, you want that trailer to do a lot more of the conversation building, I think. So it's just kind of something in the background. You just kind of have to keep in mind it's going to be part of the story of the release schedule of this movie.
Yeah. I've made my feelings very known about the Kimmel thing over on the MCU cast, but like the big thing to say, and I said it in my little thing at the top, but like we're gonna have to watch these companies. Disney, when they fired Kimmel, or when they suspended Kimmel. I keep saying fired, and people keep correcting me, and I just keep saying it. I don't mean to. When Kimmel was suspended, there was it's for a lot of business reasons. It's a very complicated story. There's still pressure coming from Sinclair Media saying they're not going to run a show.
Sinclair, not St. Clair. No relation.
It's Jay Scotty's company.
He's like, don't talk about my trust fund like that.
People make that assumption about me all the time when I say my last name. They're like, "What are you, a Templar?" I'm like, believe me, if you knew my
got Roman numerals
my family's financial situation.
What are you, a Templar? But no, we are going to like. I love that Kimmel got brought back, and I do think it's stuff like this, like the conversation, and that's why I feel so passionate about not ignoring these things on our podcast, because like we got to let it be known that like if we don't want our favorite universes to be ideologically controlled, then we have to make our voices heard and for free speech. And like this was just a step towards that process, and it's one of the first company like. There are tons of law firms who've capitulated and just given Trump money or free legal services. There's tons of media companies, including Disney, who previously capitulated on a BS lawsuit. Paramount did the same thing. Paramount just got purchased by apparently a Trump-tied Larry Ellison. That the Ellison company seems like it's likely very tied to Trump and his.
If you've watched Succession, it's weird how accurate that final season of Succession feels like. It's lining up with real world events. But
Yeah.
that's all I'll say.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, we talked about it last week.
We've got to make sure that our media companies stay honest, and that it takes everybody, all the fans, and I'm really proud of the stars that stood up, because like when I was really going through it this week, thinking about podcasting. I'm like, do I want to do a podcast about for a company like where we are all part of the hype train because I love this stuff and we just want to talk about it, but do I want to make podcasts that are supporting a company that is just capitulating to fascism? That's how I feel. That's, I think, very provable.
I would just encourage you to remember that it's, there are a lot of people that work on these projects outside of the executives. There are, people that have, put their blood, sweat, and tears into making their creative visions come to life. So, yeah, that's just
that's what I'm talking about. Yeah, I agree with you, and I think that like if those artists are controlled from the top, it's not good, and like that's what's happening.
I agree.
And it's not just the top of the executives; it's literally the top of our government told them that a joke went too far, and the joke was not too far at all. There was nothing dishonest about the joke. And then because the Trump administration put pressure on them, they capitulated, or at least they started to, and then they got enough public pressure. So all I'm saying is we have to keep that public pressure on when we see these kinds of capitulations. And I'm very happy that this was reversed, but it's just a little battle and a long war we've got. I'm really still very worried about all the conglomerates passing around these properties and getting bought up. All our social media is getting bought up by a very specific ideology, and it is really scary. So we're still going to have to keep fighting all this. But I'm really happy that it's working out right now, this one thing.
Yay, Star Wars.
But Grogu, though, baby.
But Grogu.
Grogu's cute, so cute, though.
So adorable when his ears do flippy flappies in the wind.
All right, James Gunn didn't leave us hanging this week, as the writer, director, and co-chair of DC Studios shared an Instagram post of his second draft of the script for Man of Tomorrow. An image taking up most of the show cover shows an anatomical cutout of a human head and brain, leading to speculation that Brainiac will be the villain Superman and perhaps Lex Luthor have to team up against. Matt Reeves also chimed in on a similar topic and shared that the villain for the Batman Part 2 will be a character that has never really been done before in a film. Reeves also confirmed his films are Elseworld projects that are not part of the DCU. Are we tapping into our villainous side with these enticing steps to the dark side?
All right, it's time for our weekly edition of Is James Gunn Trolling? Dun, 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 dun. Yeah, I mean, he's obviously, if you've seen the image of Man of Tomorrow, he did post the script, and it looks, I mean, it's definitely a Brainiac tease. And it, I know how James Gunn is. Somebody's going to be like, hey, didn't you confirm Brainiac? He's going to be like, I never said anything about Brainiac. He's going to gaslight us about it. But it's a dude with a big brain, and the brains, there's more than one brain, and you just have to go look at it to see what I'm saying. But he knows what he's doing, and he's teasing Brainiac. And I think I even joked last week, like, just give him about a week, and he'll tell us who the villain of this movie is. And lo and behold, he's arrived. There he is. I said this last week. It's not a super hot take, but I don't love James Gunn's release strategy of information, and I've never really been completely down with how he chooses to put information out there about his projects. Maybe that's just the Marvel fan in me. Maybe I'm used to Feige going into an arena and dropping bombs of information and rolling the hype train in that way, and getting social media to blow up about announcements. Like, maybe I'm just kind of stuck in that. But James Gunn sort of announcing things on his Instagram, okay, I don't know, it just doesn't really do the same thing for me in terms of hype. Doesn't mean I'm not excited for it, doesn't mean I don't love his work, but I've never been crazy about the way that he chooses to reveal information about his projects, which is kind of like this, that we're 2 years out for Man of Tomorrow. All that being said, I think Brainiac, if that's the direction we're going, we already know that Lex Luthor and Superman are teaming up in this movie in some way. That was confirmed last week. But I think that's a good call. There's a lot of places he could pull from the comics if we're talking about an outside threat and Brainiac's involved. But I really like what he did with Krypton in his Superman movie about like kind of reversing the twist of Krypton sort of being this like, controlling entity and like a planet that's looking to dominate and control another planet rather than this planet of good that we're kind of used to from Superman. I liked that twist personally, and I think you could do something with that. If you wanted Brainiac to be maybe an AI system or maybe something from Krypton to kind of tie it back to Clark and kind of have that connection to his past a little bit. Like I see a cool vision there for how it could be used, but there's a lot of ways that you could use that particular character. So, we still got a long ways out for Superman, for Man of Tomorrow, but I am encouraged to kind of see the pieces come together, that we're starting to see this. We know James Gunn likes to finish scripts before he starts, and it seems like he's ready to start. I would imagine this thing's going to shoot probably in 3 or 4 months from now. Well, probably later than that, 5 or 6 months maybe. I'm realizing that we're in September still.
Still.
For my part, DC has felt like a little bit of a broken record these last few weeks because basically once we got the announcement that the title's going to be Man of Tomorrow and then the Batman 2 script being completed, I felt like they've just kind of been saying the same thing over and over again about both films with these little breadcrumbs here. So it is encouraging to see that the script is done. I do look at that tease and I think it does seem like Brainiac to me. I think it's pretty obvious that it's Brainiac. But just to put another theory out there, I joked last week about the DC character Tom Morrow, who was a scientist, but I did a little bit of extra research and he actually created the Red Tornado, who's not unlike the Vision in like the Marvel universe. He starts as a villain, goes on to become a hero, but depending on what James Gunn wants to do, and with that title Man of Tomorrow, like much like the Vision, Red Tornado kind of acts as like the gap between artificial intelligence and sentience, and that's clearly something James Gunn is interested within his spectrum of the DCU here, because we had the Engineer pop up in Superman, we have a character in Peacemaker season 2 without spoiling things, but there are just a lot of like androids and cyborgs, and Cyborg might just be around the corner, but yeah, it's probably Brainiac because again, Brainiac does seem like the most likely and appropriate leveled threat, but we'll see. Honing in on Matt Reeves' comments again, I don't really think there's all that much there, especially based on what we talked about last week. Like I put it out there, I think it's Court of Owls, I think it's Hush. I still think that's the case, but the specificity of never really been done before, it did bring to mind specifically the Lego movie, but animation in general. And that's where we've seen virtually every Batman rogue brought to life into screen in some fashion or another. So is he referencing the Condiment King? Maybe. We'll see.
The Zach Galifianakis Joker in the Lego Batman movie is still one of the best Jokers. It's so good, so funny.
Oh, yeah.
Truly nails it.
I think Matt Reeves' information is more interesting only because it's been famine, not feast with him, like it has been with James Gunn. And I personally, I like his world a little better so far than James Gunn's, and I know I'm in the minority, but I like that he clarified it's Elseworlds. He clarified that Kristen Miliotti's Sophia Falcone, or what's her new name at the end of the show?
It's like I feel
anyway,
like it's just going to roll off
Kristen
the tongue if I try
Miliotti's
to
not
say
going to
it.
be in the movie.
The Gigantes, there it is.
Yeah, that's right.
Came out.
Yeah.
Sorry.
If it's going to be more Bruce Wayne focused, I think you're right, Scotty. I think Hush is a great call. I think if you want to go live action that hasn't truly been done, you could go the Harvey Dent route. We really haven't had Harvey Dent Two-Face done in a real way in live action. We had Tommy Lee Jones's very fast-forwarded version, and then he was just crazy. And then Billy D. Williams' very brief stint in the Michael Keaton ones. So
Well,
I think
Aaron
those
Eckhart,
all kind of
right?
go together.
Yeah, we did have the Dark Knight.
We did have the
too,
Dark
but
Knight.
he was also he was like kind of at the end too. He didn't really get.
I forgot
to,
about that.
He's like, I think
he didn't get to be like the main
I totally forgot
villain,
about that because I
but-
don't like those.
Interesting. I disagree. I think he was
Low key forgot.
because he got overshadowed because of the
Yes.
Joker being partially because Heath Ledger died and partially because the Joker is so good in that. But I mean, I would call him kind of the main villain of that one. To me, the Joker was this chaos element, and it was about Two-Face. But then I don't know if they ended up balancing it differently once he died, but like it does feel more balanced. But the actual story, the through line of the movie is more about Harvey Dent replacing Batman, and like that's a Harvey Dent movie.
Yeah, I
and
retract my statement.
I always
I just forgot about it.
Everybody was yelling like, "Is she being serious?" like through their headphones.
I know, and I know I'm
Sorry,
unpopular
sorry.
for saying that I don't love those movies, but I just don't. So anyway,
Hey, we welcome all opinions at this stage.
Yeah.
moving on.
we don't, and I don't think your opinion is, we'll talk about it in a minute when we get to the Spotify poll, but you're not as out on left field. I think there are more people who like the Dark Knight, but I think like the Batman
We
versus
used to be united in that, Matt.
huh?
We used
not
to be
liking the Dark
united
Knight?
in that.
Oh, I always liked the Dark Knight. I hate the third one. Hate it with a passion, like passionate fire. I hate the third one. The Dark Knight is amazing for what it is, and Heath Ledger is a force, and I think Aaron Eckhart is also a force. Like I think Aaron Eckhart holds his own with Heath Ledger, and I think Heath Ledger's death and sort of the just kookiness and wildness of the Joker like makes it hard to balance. But I still think that like Aaron Eckhart like brings it in that movie. I like Batman Begins too because it's so.
Batman Begins is my favorite live action Batman movie, bar none. I love
Oh,
Batman
yeah?
Begins. Oh yeah.
I really loved it when it came out. I feel like The Dark Knight supersedes it for me, but like I loved it when it came out. I thought it was just like, oh my gosh, they're doing Batman, and it feels like it feels like the cartoon, you know. And I loved Christian Bale at the time, like a lot. So I loved that first I liked the first two, but the third one just really tanks that universe for me.
I was with you on the third one, like coming out of the theaters. I actually waited like the better part of 10 years to revisit it. But a couple years ago when we had Batman Day, so almost a year to the date, they put them all back out in theaters. And I rewatched it. And I will say I liked it a lot more watching all three in like close succession and being a little further removed from it. But it's definitely the weakest of the three.
Yeah.
Yeah. I rewatched it not too long ago, and I remember just thinking it was fine. Like I didn't love it. I didn't hate it, but I remember just kind of being like, it is fine, you know. It felt okay. I didn't feel like blown away or anything. Reeves has also said, just to kind of talk about that again, like he said a lot of little comments about how the story here and the villain and kind of what it's building to in the Batman 2 is going to have to do with Bruce and his personal history and kind of like his past. Like he's gone out of his way to mention that it has to do with his past. And we know from the Batman that Bruce had a lot of realizations about his past at the end of that movie, you know, with the orphanage and that scene, and kind of realizing that maybe his family wasn't as, you know, as cracked up and heroic as he thought that they were, and kind of having to come to a lot of those realizations about the burden of being a Wayne and all of that. And so I think that through line really lends itself to what you all are saying about the villains, about the Court of Owls, about the upper society, the wealthy in Gotham, you know, that type of thing that he was plugged into. And we know, I mean, the Penguin certainly had its legs in that too. Like that was the core of that show, was that idea of like that wealth underbelly running Gotham and everybody else kind of being out in the cold. And I think that's probably going to sort of be your through line here for the Batman 2, whichever villains they choose to do that. It doesn't, if that's the story you're telling, it doesn't make sense to just put him up against, you know, Killer Croc or whatever, or Dr. Freeze, or, you know, and just be like, here's a villain or whatever. You know, it's just, it makes sense to kind of explore the Wayne side of Batman a little bit if that's what you're doing with a villain. Yeah.
There's the thing where like Shoemaker, when he's making his Batman movies, apparently was on set being like, remember, we're making a cartoon here, people. Like he was like really like into the idea of it being like a big, we're making a cartoon. It's a toy commercial. Like that's what we do here. And like, the Batman is the furthest version of Batman from that in the world. I just think that is like, that is very cool. And I really like the Batman a lot. And so, let's just do our Spotify poll now because we're about to go to break anyway, and it's just we're just talking about it. Our Spotify poll this week was, which DC sequel are you more excited for, Man of Tomorrow or the Batman 2? And the Batman 2 won with 52% of the vote versus 48% Man of Tomorrow. So close, one of our closest polls of all time. Like, that is as close as you can get with probably the number of voters we had. So I don't think you're in the minority at all there, Haley.
There's other cheese standing with me. I'm glad.
There are other cheeses. Yeah. All right. Well, to avoid further cheese conversation, we fell down that rabbit hole a few weeks ago. So
I wasn't here for that though.
Oh, yeah.
Let's talk about cheese.
All right, go to cheese corner. You got cheese corner.
Yeah, Haley's cheese corner.
No.
She's in the cheese chair. Come on.
No, actually, I gave my dog a little too much cheese today, and I'm currently suffering for it. So let's move on.
Oh, yeah. Cheese is not your friend today. All right. Well, let's move on. We're going to come back with our lightning round after this break. Another image from Star Wars Starfighter. Netflix enters the arena to buy Warner Brothers. Batman comics still sell, and Taylor Swift enters the box office conversation again. That plus much more awaits you. Stay tuned. Welcome back to Multiverse News. We have a Patreon, you guys. Patreon.com/Multiverse Newscast. Growing every week. You guys have been there, just joining up, and we appreciate you. Please continue to do so. We really we need help creating this show, and the supporters of it are what allows us to do it. Put as much effort in as we can, and we're always trying to grow that. So please go to patreon.com/Multiverse Newscast. You get there's some special episodes every once in a while that we do over there, little tangent talks, and you get ad-free access to the episodes as well as access to the live replays that go away off of YouTube. So you can hear all the times I cough, or all the times that like we talk over each other and I cut it out. You might hear jokes that didn't make it because two people talked at once and I had to choose. You just never know what you're going to hear. Yeah, they all kinds of things get cut out of this show. So check that out. Patreon.com/Multiverse Newscast. And this week's patron of the week is the Beer Chemist. Thank you, the Beer Chemist. We appreciate you. I want beer.
Yeah, let's stop and talk about that for a minute.
Yeah,
they will give you beer. Literally, they have access. Yeah, go check out messages from them.
All right. Yeah,
we'll talk
I'd love
off
to.
camera.
Yeah, let's do that. All right, well, let's get into the lightning round. This is where I'm going to read a story, and we're going to claim that story by shouting out our name, and whoever claims it first gets to comment on that story, and if you just cannot resist, you get one rebuttal per lightning round. Here we go. The first trailer has been released for Sony's comedic reimagining of 1997 film Anaconda, which stars Jack Black and Paul Rudd. The film hits theaters on December 25th. So Christmassy.
Scotty, we'll have to mention if being so Christmassy, this really felt like to me like, how can we do Jumanji again without doing Jumanji again? Let's do it with Anaconda. So that being said, we'll see. I'm willing to give it a chance. It didn't really resonate with me, but even as somebody that was probably too young to be watching the film circa 1997, I do have some pretty distinct memories of John Voight getting spat up and winking to the camera. So I'm sure what we saw from Jack Black was an allusion to that, and there'll probably be a ton of other allusions. So we'll see if it has the same hold on the box office that the Jumanji films had.
Yeah, there's also quite a kind of Tropic Thunder plot line going on with and Jack Black was in that as well. But Jack Black is in all the movies that this is referencing. No, I think the making a movie and then it turns out all the stuff is real.
Sure.
All right, moving on. Director Sean Levy posted a photo on Instagram last week of Ryan Gosling in costume on the set of Star Wars Starfighter, offering the first look from the film's shoot. Gosling and co-star Flynn Gray are seen posing with the Mediterranean Sea behind them.
Is this Star Wars or Waterworld? What are we doing here?
Yeah. This one's in color. Also, that kid's name is Flynn Gray, which is really cool and kind of Star Warsy on its own. And I'm like, good for you, kid. Yeah, I mean, there's nothing to go on here, really. They're on a water planet or something, and Gosling is in some sort of like racing attire is kind of what it looks like to me. So that might give us a tiny bit of insight to his character, but we kind of already knew that with Starfighter as the title. So it's like nothing, but we'll take it.
Yeah, we will. Paul Walter Hauser is joining the cast of director Zach Cregger's new Resident Evil movie.
Scotty, Zach Cregger has been on record recently regarding his Resident Evil movie, and he's been pretty adamant that he is not adapting storylines from the games. So interesting decision to make, given that we had a whole series of films that kind of did their own thing as well. But Paul Walter Hauser is insanely talented. He also kind of comes across as like he feels like one of us a little bit. Like I feel like he gets super passionate about his fandoms, like the fact that he's willing to pop up in Cobra Kai, and then he was very effusive about his experience on the Fantastic Four. So I just have to imagine he probably is a big fan of the Resident Evil movies, and I think including him gives you an idea of the tone that they're going for. It's probably not going to be a huge divergence for Zach Cregger. I think even though Barbarian and Weapons are pretty different, I think there is at least a house style on display in terms of like his tone and kind of vacillating between the disturbing horror and the comedy. So that excites me. Paul Walter Hauser is a guy I really like. So anything that he wants to do, I'll usually follow him.
DC announced last week that its Batman #1, a relaunch of the Caped Crusader by writer Matt Fraction and artist Jorge Jimenez, has sold over 500,000 copies, making it the top-selling comic of the year by far.
Haley, Batman books are going to sell no matter what, but when you've got the superstar talent of Matt Fraction, who's really well known in Marvel for his Hawkeye run, and then Jorge Jimenez as the artist, I mean, yeah, good for them. And reading is so in, people. I love it.
Stan Lee will posthumously return to LA Comic-Con this year as a hologram that will use AI to have conversations with fans. Fans will be able to speak with the hologram at the Stan Lee Experience section of the con, a 1,500-foot enclosed booth which costs between $15 and $20 to enter, depending on whether you buy tickets ahead of time. And like meeting a celebrity or getting autographs, there will be paid opportunities to take photos with the hologram or have a 3-minute one-on-one conversation with it.
Jay, welcome to Dystopia. Everybody, come on in.
I hate it.
This is like a Black Mirror episode packaged for you. Here's the plot of one right now. I mean, I don't know. I don't even know how I feel about this. It's weird to me. But
it seems
I guess,
like you do, Jay. It seems like you know.
I guess if this is something that is worth $20 to you, then, okay. Have a good time.
Take a look inside is what I would say. Examine yourself.
I can 100% see using, like they did with the Tupac hologram many years ago. I'm sure the technology is much better. I could definitely see using this hologram technology to have Stan Lee show one of his speeches he already gave or something like that. It's basically just a 3D video of something he actually said. But this just feels weird and wrong, and not only is
it's a little soulless. It's soulless.
Yes, literally. If you believe in that stuff, literally soulless.
Speaking of Black Mirror, there's an episode of Black Mirror. It's my favorite episode of Black Mirror. It's called Be Right Back, and it actually stars Haley Atwell and Domhnall Gleeson. And the point of it is that the Haley Atwell's husband or boyfriend or whatever died, and so there's a company where they'll take all of your social media presence and all the information about you, and they'll upload it into essentially like a humanoid version of your deceased person. And then the episode, if you want to watch it, I'm not going to spoil what happens, but this just feels like that to me. And the conclusion of that episode and the lessons that I learned from that episode feels like the lessons you should learn from this. Personally.
I mean, it's so emotionally manipulative too. Like, I can totally see sitting down across from a Stan Lee hologram and like having a talk with it and feeling like feelings, feeling like this is a weird thing to be able to do. And like, it feels like it's connecting me to this person, but it is not doing that. It is just a hologram with an AI that is controlled by other people. This is not Stan Lee, and it's gross to me.
A few years ago, this was when Kanye was married to Kim Kardashian, so however long that ago was, feels like a million years, but for her birthday...
At least one Pete Holmes... not Pete Holmes,
Pete Davidson.
At least one Pete Davidson ago.
Yeah. There was this sort of conversation happened in our zeitgeist because... for her birthday, he had purchased her an AI hologram of her deceased father, and he came to her birthday party to basically tell her that he was proud of her for going to law school and stuff. Yeah, it's weird, right? And
Very.
That was at the time, that was sort of the conclusion, like, hey, Kanye, I mean, he's been up to a lot more since, but at that time, at least, this is weird, buddy.
Not the craziest thing he's done. Like that's a crazy thing to do. Not the craziest thing he's done.
Nope.
Pretty tame for him, actually.
Yeah. But I mean, now we can sort of say, hey, he was trying, Can
we?
Taylor Swift is returning to theaters from October 3rd to October 5th for her album release. Swift is partnering with AMC Theaters for the event film, which will feature behind-the-scenes making of her new album, Life of a Showgirl, as well as a music video premiere. The Eras Tour film was a phenomenon 2 years ago, becoming the top-grossing concert film of all time with $261.6 million globally.
I suppose I'm supposed to speak about this. I like Taylor
You are the
Swift,
Swiftie.
but there's a thing about her brand where she does these things that, like, so I'm not a physical media purchaser, for example. All of these variants and stuff that she releases, it feels a little sometimes, right? And to me, this is kind of the same thing. This is similar to the Folklore Long Pond studio thing that you can watch on Disney Plus, which I think was only released on Disney Plus. They're just putting it in theaters. I mean, if you're their business person, you're like, absolutely, because you're going to make a ton of money. Look at how much the pre-sale tickets already has brought in. Myself, if you've listened to this podcast for any length of time, I abhor the idea of going to something like this because similarly to Scotty's curmudgeonly ways earlier, I also want to sit in theater in silence and watch things quietly, and people who go to anything like this don't, and that's fine for them, but I'm not going to be there. That's all I have to say about that.
I know I've already overbutted tonight, but I do just want to say, like, I feel like this doesn't seem like it's as big of a event as Eras was, clearly, and like
you think that, but
I do think that. I do think that, especially like
when it happens, we will be shocked at the amount of money that
I think
that
this will
generates.
make a lot. Don't get me wrong. Well, they're only doing it for a weekend for one thing, so it's already like it's just a one-time thing. I think the Eras Tour was in for a while, right?
A few weeks.
Yeah, it was a few weekends. Yeah.
So I think it will hit. It will make money, but it's got one video release. Like, if I'm going to the theater, I want a few music videos that I'm getting released. Like, it feels like a one music video release is such a small thing. And I know it's other behind the scenes stuff, and people that care will care. But when you're coming off the Eras Tour, and it's kind of like any universe. When you go see this amazing movie, then you go see the next one, it's a real disappointment, or it's a big reduction in what you get for the time you're spending and the money you're spending. Like, are you as likely to go see the next one? I think if she would do better to wait a year and put out her next tour video or her next tour film and like hype it, because it's just going to be it's going to show how did Taylor Swift do in the box office here and then like I think this could water down the brand is what I'm saying. If you do too much of this without it being as quality.
I don't think there's any danger of that.
I'm talking specifically the brand of her in theaters, not the brand of Taylor Swift. The Taylor Swift brand is safe.
what I think is interesting is she's doing the same thing that she did with the last one, which is that she just went straight to AMC. She didn't go to a theater or to a studio. Sorry, like we talked about that last time. Is like you basically are circumventing the studio. You're getting to pocket a lot of that money yourself. If you're AMC, you're like, yeah, for sure, sign me up. You want to use my theater? Like, yeah, let's do it. And yeah, they're both that's gonna be a partnership, I would imagine, going forward, like the Taylor Swift AMC thing. We're gonna kind of see that sort of be the norm for her. And when she does another tour and it does what it did last time and there's videos, we'll see another tour film probably directly to AMC. It's just I think that's the partnership of the future there probably.
Yeah. After rumors last week that Paramount was looking into making a bid for Warner Brothers, Puck News is now reporting that a well-placed inside source has verified that Netflix is prepared to make a bid for the studio as well.
Jay, it still sucks that there's people trying to buy up Warner Brothers. I think it doesn't. I mean, we talked at length about the Paramount Skydance trying to buy Warner Brothers last week and how that is still a long way off. You've got to make a bid. It's got to be accepted. It's got to be approved. It's got to merge. It takes time for these things to happen. But Netflix is in a similar boat as Paramount in that Netflix is a little shy on the IP as well. They've created their own. They have their own IP that they've created, like Stranger Things and stuff like that. But they want to have their own IP too. They want to be taken seriously as a studio. They want to put their movies in theaters and contend for awards. And that's how you do that, is you bring in IP. So, I don't think there's necessarily hey, it'd be better if this person or that person bought all of this IP. I think it just kind of, personally, I don't think it's good for the industry either way. But somebody's going to buy it. So, we'll see. It's going to be a bidding war, I guess, though, at the end of the day.
The only silver lining there is that we would not have to have another version of HBO Max. It would just be incorporated straight into Netflix, right?
We're going to call it Netflix Max and then just Flix.
Yeah. Would this sale be those two companies merging? I guess it would be. Yeah. So, I wonder if those two streaming services merge. I mean, they're two of the biggest.
They'll be like, now we're going to charge you $30 a month for Netflix or something like that.
Yeah. Crazy. Animation hit Demon Slayer Infinite Castle took the #1 spot at the box office this weekend over Universal's sports horror film Him. Demon Slayer hails from the Sony-owned Crunchyroll, and it stands as the top-grossing anime movie of all time globally with more than $555 million. Him, from Jordan Peele's Monkey Paw, is projected to end the weekend with $13.5 million, down from earlier estimates of $15 million.
Scotty, didn't make it out to the theater this weekend, just had a little bit too much going on, but none of this is surprising, actually. I mean, as big a win this is for Demon Slayer and anime in general, it's just as big a loss for him and Monkey Paw, because I was actually excited for this movie at one point in time. I remember when we talked about the trailer on this show, like it was an awesomely cut trailer, like had some really cool stuff going on, but the reviews and the word of mouth were just consistently not good. Like it was just very, very obvious to me how universally poorly received this movie was. I lost all interest in it right off the get-go now. With Demon Slayer, I still have some interest in that, but I've just kind of fallen behind. They've done like a season and another movie that's come out since the last one that I saw, so just watching too many things there. But again, it's just it stands to reason, while we've been talking about China's film Neja 2, well, that's not strictly an anime. I think you can look at things like that, and then K-pop Demon Hunters over on Netflix and being released in theaters. There's just an appetite for animation from across the sea, and that unique style of animation that started with anime coming out of Japan, but has really expanded. So yeah, as a fan of animation and anime specifically, it's encouraging. I hope we get more and more of these big screen offerings. And Jordan Peele, lick your wounds and get working on that film that you delayed again. I want to see it.
The first trailer has dropped for Maggie Gyllenhaal's The Bride, a Frankenstein-inspired film starring Christian Bale and Jessie Buckley. The film debuts in theaters in March of 2026.
Haley, I have thoughts and feelings about this. I was very excited by the first images of this movie because I thought it was going to be all in black and white. And I was like, this looks really cool and different, and it could be almost anything. And this trailer, first of all, the Christian Bale Frankenstein monster is disappointing looking. Like, it's not good, I don't think. I think Jessie Buckley's character of the bride looks interesting, but it kind of seems like it's just, we're the Frankenstein Bonnie and Clyde. And I don't know that that's that interesting to me. And it doesn't look like it's all in black and white, which really killed it for me, which is so stupid. But I was like, oh, bummer. I think parts of it are, but not the whole thing.
When we got Del Toro's Frankenstein just right around the corner, it's like, is it really the best idea to put two Frankenstein movies?
I think they're going to be very different.
Yeah.
This one looks very 30s gangster or something, but it just didn't do it for me like I was hoping it would. So, boo, sad.
HBO has released a trailer for Andy Machetti's It prequel series, It Welcome to Derry. The series will begin streaming on HBO Max on October 26th.
Scotty, this is the most substantial look that we've gotten at this series thus far, and I thought it was a great look. What I guess I should have expected, but I wasn't expecting for whatever reason. We knew that it was going to be set as a prequel series to the movies that we saw, but I wasn't expecting to see specific characters in the younger versions of those characters. So I can't remember the character of Mike, his last name, but he holds the position of being the only person of color within the Losers. So we're definitely going to see more of his backstory. It looks like his parents are going to be main characters. So not only are they dealing with the supernatural threats of Derry, they're also dealing with what it was like to be a black person in the 1960s in that part of the country. So that's where I just wasn't expecting, and it kind of brought to mind Watchmen, what Watchmen on HBO Max was able to do. David Lindelof was able to tell a story that was steeped in race and expose us to some racial history that I didn't know about. So I guess that was kind of my biggest impression from this trailer. I think it'll be able to do a similar thing. It'll be steeped in the scares that the It movies did so effectively, but also have something really substantial to offer in terms of the social commentary.
It also reminds me a lot of Lovecraft Country. That idea of juxtaposing horror with, like, kind of pre-civil rights America.
Sure.
Yeah, that's interesting.
All right, those sinners in there too.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. Absolutely. It's interesting. It's interesting because, like, it's just such an interesting juxtaposition, because it's like, what is the we always talk about, like, in like zombie movies, after a certain point the people are the monsters or whatever, like, and that's always the way with, like, good interesting horror, the people are the monsters. I mean, just like we just talked about Frankenstein, it's like the people, who's the real monster, Frankenstein or Frankenstein's monster, that whole idea. But in that case, it's like a real it's so crazy. Some of the concepts in Lovecraft Country are so wild, where you're like, they are fighting crazy demons, but then the thing that feels most dangerous in the whole show is just, like, driving through certain towns. You know what I mean? Like, it's just like, whoa, it's heavy, it weighs heavy on you. Really, really great show. Okay, so that's our show for tonight. Let's go around and tell the people what we're doing, what we got going on. Jay Sisson, what you got going on?
You can catch me at Commute the Podcast if you've never subscribed over there. And then Haley and I are covering Peacock's The Paper on Always Watching, which we are going to be about, we're 4 episodes in right now, so there's still time to jump onto that bandwagon if you haven't yet. It's a great show.
Sweet. And Haley Hobbs?
Over on Source Pages, we talked about the High Republic finishing from Lucasfilm Publishing this week, so that was a fun conversation. And then, all the things on Always Watching currently.
Sweet. And J. Sky St. Clair.
And a few more of those things on Always Watching include Alien Earth, which is coming to a conclusion. Tonight is the finale, so very eager to watch that, as well as Peacemaker Season 2. And then Tron Ares comes out October 10th, so I better get watching those Tron movies for Avengers Assemble. So look forward to that.
Yeah, I want to do that with you if at all possible. I was just hoping to wait till after one of the 2 things we're on Always Watching were finished, which is tonight.
Sure.
So hopefully this week we can maybe knock out one of those Tron movies.
Sounds good. Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, that's the show. Check out the Marvel Cinematic Universe podcast. I talk way more about the Kimmel suspension than I meant to on the show this week, and so it just was really weighing heavily on me. And then always watching. Definitely go subscribe over there. The Peacemaker and Alien Earth are just, again, it's always amazing when we have two shows run at the same time that are just amazing shows that I love covering. So I'm really excited to be doing those. And we'll be back right here on Multiverse News next week. Peace.
You stay classy, Multiverse.
Hey, thanks for listening to Multiverse News, or watching it, or whatever you're doing, eyeballs or ear holes, whichever thing. We do this show every week, and we appreciate you listening. StrandedPanda.com is where you can find all of our podcasts, and thank you for listening. Check us out wherever you get podcasts. Hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, hit the little bell icon, whatever you have on whatever service you're doing. Rate us, like us. We're really thirsty. That's what I'm saying.